50 Cent says he gave the BMF family $5 million legal dollars, so he does not understand where the money went, how Lil Meech blew it before Big Meech got out of jail, but he feels extremely betrayed after that picture got taken between Big Meech and Rick Ross after he got out of jail.
I looked at it like, from that point, maybe 50 should have brung a bag for Meech and maybe a watch or something. Because obviously that's what Ross did or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that's what I had in mind.
But look, 50, boy, I see you struggling making that G-Unit film studio out there in Louisiana where that cheapest land at. You thought you was gonna be able to do it. You thought you was gonna be able to get them loans, and it ain't.
Not every member of 50 Cent was deceived by Lil Meech. According to reports, he worked with the 50's biggest enemy to steal $10 million. 50 was unprepared for the ultimate betrayal after years of encouragement, counseling, and even sponsoring his rehabilitation. Rick Ross is implicated, and 50 Cent will have to learn the hard way now that private texts have been made public. Before they were betrayed, 50 gave them a sack. Finery Jr. played Demetrius Lil Meech Meech, the infamous Big Meech, 50 Cent's father. TV show The Star's a blessing that transformed people's lives. BMF was more than just a casting. Hollywood was not allowing Lil Meech to follow his ambition of becoming a rapper. Even if that would have been more than enough, 50 saw something bigger. He assisted in making the child a TV star and covered the cost of his 2 years of acting school. Fifth says he helped the family secure over $5 million in clean legal funding, while also transferring them money behind the scenes. How much money they could make. A time in the future where there were more plans for 50 than this gig. Spin-offs of movies with many storylines with luck. The BMF brand might eventually bring in between $30 and $50 million. A family whose business had previously been run on the streets saw this as a chance to provide legitimacy to everything. Big Meech, meanwhile, watched from prison as his son rose to prominence. Now that his name is back in the headlines, it's during prime time. Additionally, 50 Cent, a businessman rather than a lawyer, buddy, or musician, is the one responsible. He preserved and established the BMF brand. Put the food of the next generation in, but that's not all, since 50 kept his modesty and didn't just carry on. He played a smaller role for years. Never asked for publicity up until now. He has never boasted about his expenses since things have changed. Many are also wondering why 50 is so angry over whatever money he lost. His genuine banking on it is the most likely explanation. Rick Ross understands the challenges that 50 faces.
Who own your masters? I buy your masters. You better shut up. I will buy your masters.
He didn't stop there.
But look, 50. Boy, I see you struggling making that G-Unit film studio out there in Louisiana where that cheapest land at. You thought you was gonna be able to do it. You thought you was gonna be able to get them loans, and it ain't. What's wrong? What's taking so long? I know you wanna make your mama one of them walking stars thing. Put down there. Your mama little nigga. Call her own walking star.
He really hit him where it hurts.
We call it renderings. You had the renderings, then you try to go get them loans, and ain't nobody loan you that money. You ain't even built the G-Unit studio yet. That might be why when I stood next to Meech, your knees buckled. Your knees buckled. Put your back against the...
In October, Big Meech was released from prison, which brought about this shift. The man behind one of the biggest drug empires in U.S. history was Big Meech. We expected a reunion between 50 and Meech, a tour of the press, some photo opportunities, and perhaps even a BMF documentary that was co-produced and starred the real guy himself. What happened next, though? Everyone was shocked, even 50, but Meech had none. He left with Rick Ross. Again, it's Rick Ross. They were doing full-on advertisements, car displays, and a welcome home performance. It wasn't just a handshake or a chance meeting at some corporate party. Over a decade has passed since they were sworn foes. On Instagram, Meech and Rosa posed together as if they were on their first day together. No special mention of 50, no gratitude, no recognition, nothing for 50. This went beyond simple betrayal. Well thought out and insulting. He originally said nothing, but if you recognize 50, the money disappeared, but he's loading the clip. The bank accounts of the family do not contain it. You understand that quiet does not necessarily mean peace. The event brought in over $5 million for the family, according to 50. Authentic, lawful money, so he wrote. Why did the old boy not protect me and send him to acting school? You think you did nothing for him when you get back home? I provided Pablo Escobar with food, which allowed your family to make more than $5 million in actual money. I have nothing to do with its disappearance. The baby's jewelry is returned to you by B, and you think that no one notices you since you want to shine so much that you are wearing it. However, both Lil Meech and Big Meech were impoverished. His financial situation is so dire that he is actually charging $500 for promotional films.
What up, though? Boss of all bosses. And today I'm coming to tell all my supporters, you're a business owner, entrepreneur, wherever you got, I'm trying to make it go up.
50 was eager to deride him. He posted on Instagram, saying, Big Screech Fat Meech doing promos for $500 a pop. Purchase one now while they're still available. No, 50 wasn't done yet. Not a single bit. He shares on a full GoFundMe page when you think he has been rudely tapped. In fact, a Big Meech GoFundMe, since that's precisely his kind of chaos, it's reasonable to assume that 50 constructed it himself out of small grievances. That being said, 50 individuals posted it online, regardless of who made it. Went out of control. Meech was accused directly by the GoFundMe of requiring help to pay off his debts. 50 wrote in his own awkward little caption, "Help Big Screech pay his $30,000 a month ERM," in reference to the purported $30,000 monthly listing. I see that's P's crib. Thank you so much to Quality Control. Moreover, 50 wasn't even done there. Turning the corner again, he brought 42 Doug into the mix. According to 50, Big Meech got $100,000 from Doug, who remarked, "Your daddy, my ninja." But you were wrong to offer Screech $100,000. It may have been given to your ninjas. You've been obstinate all your life. Doug, of course, responded on Instagram, expressing his solidarity with Detroit and Meech. There is no ninja who can convince me to oppose Detroit. You may either show me a rat or stop talking to me. So how does a tycoon who has appeared in well-known television programs end up begging for rent? Tony Yao was the source of the hint. His interview claims that once Meech left, he essentially asked Lil Baby for a hand.
And you like, yo, little baby ain't give me no money. He came in the Ferrari truck, he had the Ferrari truck, he had 4 pockets full. I'm looking at this nigga like, yo, this is tripping. Like, little baby he's not.
He even complained about the lack of financial support for his son. Let's talk about Lil Meech now, since he's not really improving things.
Stuff in the future, he made your family money. You know, you would think you would be a little bit appreciative, but motherfuckers don't have to be loyal to 50 in business. That's how I guess that's how Meech felt, because he's his own boss. You know, but when you take little Meech and you put him in acting school, you know, you take him from Detroit. I remember him rapping when he was rapping and nobody was helping him from what I seen. Because I remember when Lil Meech was rapping. Nobody helped him, and then 50 put him in acting school, kept it on the low, and he made all this money. You understand what I'm saying? But
as Tony Yo puts it, Lil Meech is squandering money like he has an allergy to saving. Chrome Hearts jeans that cost $100,000, $500,000 BMF chains you're out here, gentlemen, sporting expensive trousers and Richard Mille watches, and you had the gall to complain when 50 unfollowed your dad because he was having problems paying the rent. It was distributing cash. Yale exhibited no self-control.
I say that was like a bad management move, but from the streets, they're gonna do what they want to do. 50's crazy for that. Yeah, 50's crazy. So, and then on Meech, and I look at that was bad management too, because we just was over there. We just took a picture with you at your house. But I felt like when we left there, it was a money thing, because with Lil Meech,
There were rumors that 50 was upset. Not out of necessity, but out of recklessness, they wasted the money. Future stacking, strategy, and investment were all absent.
50 Cent gives your family, $5 million in cash, whether it's through acting. I think he was paying for acting lessons for Lil Meech. You gotta have some appreciation. And before more details unfolded, like $5 million, because people were like, oh, 50 Cent doesn't pay people, he's always suing people. Look how he paid Ghost from Power less than Mary J. Blige on Power Book. But if Lil Meech got $5 million and he's nobody except the son of somebody famous, then he definitely could have treaded carefully.
You believe that 50 had moved on from Lil Meech, but he suddenly exhibited petty conduct at the level of a boss. Meech is legally required to live in the halfway home, which 50 Cent reportedly bought. This suggests that Big Meech, who had owned a billion-dollar business and quieted artists and politicians alike, is now allegedly paying 50 Cent rent. Since he was 50, he obviously didn't take that lying down. During an interview, he merely grinned and said, "Business is business. I'm putting that ninja on the toilet." Working all day to clear up crimes, his supporters are therefore ecstatic about the fact that Meech is not at all free, although he is technically out of jail. According to one, 50 has always done business with nothing but respect for him and is a true savage. I have never heard of a better burn than this one. 50 makes my entire month. However, the story is not accepted by everyone. Some others claim that this is just trolling and a 50% cap.
And utter bullshit.
According to this man, Meech might not even be in a halfway house.
As we know, Meech didn't actually leave for the halfway house. He's on home confinement because of the First Step Act and winning his 821 motion in federal court. After spending nearly 20 years in federal prison, Demetrius Big Meech Flannery left the federal prison in Coleman, Florida, Coleman Low, on October 15th for home confinement. Now, before you say I don't know what I'm talking about, it says right here that he's in the RRM in Miami. He's actually on home confinement. It says RRM because the RRM, or the halfway house, or really the re-entry manager, is administering his home confinement in Miami through...
Nevertheless, this is 50 Cent, who takes pleasure in trolling and possesses the means and desire to make the most ridiculous actions seem possible. I made sure to beg God to bring my father home to my family before I had any other requests. God heard my requests. I cherish you, Dad. In an obvious display of his dedication, Lil Meech wrote on Instagram, "Death before dishonor." He was done being a go-between, and the last part was a warning. Even worse was the fact that Rick Ross, the one guy, had shoved Meech Sr. to the cemetery, and now it seemed they were trying to capitalize on the BMF name. To preserve the brand, they haven't done anything. When your opponent turns into your new best friend, things become personal. Big Meech came home, and Ross wasted no time. Slithering in like a snake, he recruited Big Meech to co-sign, started planning a welcome home show, and issued promotional materials as though the real. However, let us acknowledge that this was not a concert. Meech was used as a pawn by Ross, who saw an opening and promised him a little check. Floyd Mayweather, who saw through it all, is another man whom 50 doesn't love. It was a plot and wickedness, not pure love. All of you remember this video.
Floyd said, yeah, Nelly 50. I'm like, what did he say me for? Nelly your first baby mama, Melissa, then two.
When Lil Meech pulled up to Lucky Strike Miami with Floyd Mayweather and Rose, we knew he had hit 50 where it hurts. However, Meech wasn't only there for fun. He also gifted Mayweather some rare items from his work with red letters X, adding insult to injury. Big Meech showed up on the phone out of the blue, conversing with Floyd and Ross like old friends before Floyd took Lil Meech shopping. They had time to go jewelry shopping.
One life.
Dad, happy birthday, champ. That's all. One piece. Money team.
Then they played some arcades.
Last but not least, they made it to a Lakers game after kicking it in lay. As you are already aware, is unfaithful, and he was furious to see Lil Meech interacting with two of his greatest operations. Swiftly mocking the problem, he posted a video of Meech and Ross teasing each other, stating, "You tell your pops I'm a lookout. To that address, I would like to send some wings. Could you please tell me what it is?" This hit near to home, but I swiftly took it off as usual. However, 50 may not have just funded Lil Meech's career, kept him alive. In addition to wasting money, 50 said that Lil Meech was also blowing up on site. "I think he was uncomfortable with me and Mimi's relationship, so I'm telling Mimi I don't want him doing drugs," he wrote in his note. "I used to do X like it was trendy," he tells him. "My advice to Mimi is to stop wasting all your money." He let him know how much money he lost. "I had to place Mimi in a treatment facility, but no one knew." Then 50 revealed the sloppy details, saying Lil Meech had appeared. When Russell Hornsby peeped on the set, everyone saw him since he was so intoxicated. In his truck, Ian told me the little ninjas had gas canisters after he started throwing up during a weapons exam. "What the heck are gas canisters?" I asked in response. "I see that it's the ones with baby guns." Even a video of Gian Deal co-signing his remarks about Meech's behavior was released by 50 to further bolster his case.
We're going to do right by him and give him a bag and help him out and stuff like that. And he ended up being in the same spot and probably worse right now. Because just say this, man. Just say if he would have held his head with 50 now, right? I don't know if 50 would have fucked with him, but 50 would have been like, "Yo, Tammy, leave that alone, man. Don't put that on that dude." You know what I'm saying? And 50 wouldn't have been behind it. The only reason this shit grew the way it grew against...
Now that loyalty was gone, he wanted to protect him, but 50 was done defending others. As soon as he found out that the whole family had lied to him, he left. Fifth says he never told the public or media, paid for everything, and secretly sent the youngster to rehab. Then 50 struck again on Instagram, but this time he brought with him a famous face and receipts. You may remember Tammy Cowens as Big Meech's former business partner. He posted a photo of her and a screen image of a text chat in which he questioned her directly. Did Meech know she was snitching while incarcerated, allegedly? And she said, "Yep." The caption claims that Tammy Cowens the truth, and that only the truth will be made public shortly. He connected those bars to a second carousel of BMF stills to demonstrate his argument. Here's the point though, he nearly erased Lil Meech's face from every photo, writing the main actor from his show out of them like a belittled ex. I'm not sure, unless it's peak 50 Cent. 50 included a few of Lil Meech's texts in other Instagram posts that have since been removed. In them, Meech, "They said you unfollowed me on Instagram, and now you're upset with me because I stole the garment for you." "I am incredulous," Meech Jr. added, begging for pardon. "Although I've only ever given you love and loyalty, you act as if I'm your enemy. Although I've faced my own challenges, I've never betrayed you." Then he threw his father under the bus by saying, "Forget Ross." But he gave him some cash so that his dad could pay his bills till the beginning of their new season. Dude, this internet is taking me by storm. You do, in fact, know me, but 50 had had enough. He gave a retort. What next season, little ninja? For supporters, BMF's passing meant that Lil Meech's career was coming to an end. It is impossible to make money with someone you don't trust, as Big Meech made it clear where his devotion lay. What if this wasn't only betrayal though? What could be causing Big Meech's son harm? At first, this hypothesis seemed like normal industrial turbulence, but it is gaining traction and is not as odd as it looks. Ross is clever, while 50 is being petulant, and Big Meech might simply be trying to guarantee his financial prospects after prison. But if you zoom out a little, you'll see that this isn't really related to 50, Ross, or even BMF as a brand. In reality, this is a subtle father-son rivalry that is being presented as a label struggle. For some fans, Meech's actions were motivated by jealousy, unresolved parent energy. When your child's success feels like your failure, you act out, ruining the relationships your child still needs to develop because you feel replaced rather than proud. Even more tragic is the fact that this is starting to resemble the death of a dynasty rather than the redemption of a father-son empire. A man dampened both chances when he returned home and tried to outperform his son, who had maintained his reputation. 50 isn't in. The survival of BMF is uncertain. Despite not confirming a new season, 50 has already issued a warning that it might be the last. Rick Ross is not permitted to legally change a B on a film, but 50 owns the rights to it, so the harm might already be done. But did 50 out of 10 million really get scammed by Lil Meech? Or was Big Meech already part of the plan, pulling strings from behind bars? Was 50 always supporting the wrong candidate, or were all of these betrayals cloaked in loyalty? Please tell us what you think. View our next video. Until then, goodbye.